בשם HaShem נעשה ונצליח, שיעור Torah. Baruch Hashem, happy to be here with the dedicated few that show up on the Goy holiday of Independence Day, 4th of July. You know, sometimes you get so preoccupied with Torah, Zikui Rabim, Am Yisrael, you forget about the world that's around you. So honestly, I didn't even realize it was 4th of July until about 5 minutes before I got here. And someone told me they're not coming because it's 4th of July. So I said, I don't know, Hashem works on 4th of July, so why are we not working? We are supposed to and commanded to learn Torah all the time. Even more so at times like this, number one, because this is not our holiday. This is not to say that we're not grateful to Hashem for providing us a place to live where we have freedom of speech and freedom of religion to some extent, and the ability to succeed, even in the exile. But yet we're always reminded that this is still not salvation. We're always reminded this is still not the days of greatness, the days of freedom, the days that we've been waiting for over 2,000 years. And the things that remind us that we're actually still not home. Whether you live in Israel, or you live in America, or you live in London, or you live in Africa, you live in all these different places, Baruch Hashem, that we have students that learn our Torah, Baruch Hashem, on a weekly basis and send us letters and emails and questions and a lot of different things that we try, Baruch Hashem, with Hashem's help always, to help each and every single soul as best as we can. We're still always reminded that we're not home. This is not salvation. This is not the Geulah. This is not the good times. And the way that we're reminded, unfortunately, is that there is no end. There's no end to the suffering. There's no end to the torture. There's no end to the murdering of our people, either by our own hands or by the Goyim. I'm sad to say that today I spent some time being very sad because I found out that another one of our people died. Aaron, I believe his last name is Nachum or Nachman. Aaron Nachman, I didn't know him personally. He's a religious Jew, part of Chabad in Boca Raton. And he also liked to fight martial arts. And HaShem and His, unfortunately, just a few hours ago I found out that his soul was stolen from us. But one of these Reshaim that couldn't control their evil inclinations decided to murder him just last night. To see and hear our people being murdered is always bad. To see and hear them die is always bad. When it happens just a couple of miles from your house, it hurts a little more. You see that Hashem is not happy. Just last week, I was notified that 3 young kids in New York all died within the same 36 hours out of drug overdose. Young kids, 16, 17, 18 years old. Aaron was only 25 years old. Hashem Yinkom et Darav. Hashem will avenge his blood. So, first off, I want the shiur to go to Ilui Nishmatam, all of the people that we've mentioned, all of the people that we didn't mention. Be'ezrat Hashem, in the Beit Din of Shamayim, they'll have mercy on them. They'll welcome them with love. And B'ezrat Hashem, it will help each and every one of us to realize that we're not here and we're not promised tomorrow. When the students of Chazal asked them, Kvod Harav, why do you say that a Jew needs to do tshuva every day? Why do you have to say to do tshuva every day? And he explains it's because we're not promised tomorrow. So you have to do tshuva every day simply because you don't know if you're going to have tomorrow. So you want to make sure that before you leave this world, you've done tshuva. Now, when I posted this online to let the people know that antisemitism is not only alive and well, unfortunately, but it's getting closer and closer to home. Not just in Boca Raton, not just in Miami, not just in New York, not just in London, not just in Israel. It's literally everywhere. It's literally everywhere. We see our people murdered in cold blood, abused, insulted, beat up, persecuted. But we quickly sweep it under the carpet after a few internet posts, a few tweets, a few fundraisers, and we move on. It's time we ask ourselves, why? Why are all these things happening? Why are there so many people hate us? Is there proof that this is all anti-Semitism? Or maybe he just got into with the wrong crew. Maybe somebody mistook the house, tried to rob it, and he got in the way since he was a martial artist. He tried to fight it off, and maybe that happened. Maybe this, maybe that. When I posted it immediately, a couple of people asked, is there any proof that this is anti-Semitism? And I said, yes, there is proof it's anti-Semitism. It's called Torah. In Mount Sinai, HaShem Yitbarach met with Moshe Rabbeinu. And he gave him the entire Torah. He gave him the entire Torah, both the written Torah, the oral Torah. And he gave him all of the laws, all of the halachot. Halacha means it's law. Halacha means it's from Shamayim, from God. Halacha means it's indisputable. And one of the halachot, Moshe Sinai, that we got on Mount Sinai, is Esav soneh et Yaakov. Esav hates Yaakov. This is an halacha. This is a law of nature. This is a law of the world. It's not a possibility. It's not a likelihood. It's a fact. It's a reality. This does not necessarily mean that everyone that's a non-Jew hates Jews, because obviously, as you know, I have many non-Jew students that love Am Yisrael, love Hashem, love the Torah, sometimes more than many Jews. They're not Esav. Esav hates Yaakov. But the ones that don't hate Yaakov, the Rambam calls them Chasdei Umot HaOlam, the righteous amongst the nations. These are the Noahides that are the righteous amongst the nations. They love Torah, love mitzvot. Many of them want to convert to Judaism. Some of them can't, but still want to obey and observe the Torah completely. And these are the lovers of Am Yisrael, and these are going to have an amazing share of the world to come. The righteous amongst the nations are going to have an amazing share of the world to come. The Rambam says that the 7 Noahide laws are relatively logical. You don't need Torah to know that you shouldn't murder. You don't need Torah to know that you shouldn't steal. You don't need Torah to know that you shouldn't pray to some statue you bought from Chinatown. You don't need Torah for that. You just need a brain that Hashem gave you. That's all you need. On one end, this is the reason, since the 7 Noahide laws and all of the ethical laws, whether it be respecting your parents, and other things that are just generally logical. On one end, this is the reason why a penalty for violating the 7 laws of Noah is much harsher than violating many of the mitzvot. If a Jew steals, the penalty, and he gets caught, the penalty is that he has to pay double. If he stole 100, he has to pay 200. Unless he didn't get caught and he decided to return it, then he just returns what he stole. But if he stole and then he got caught, he has to pay double. That's the halakha. On the other hand, a non-Jew that stole 100 or 200 or 200 million, it's the same thing. According to the Torah, it's death penalty. It's heavenly death penalty. Now, obviously, we don't kill anyone today for stealing or really for most things. But the point being is that the punishment is much harder, much harsher for a Noahide than it is for a Jew. Number one, because they have much less responsibility, much less mitzvot. And two, since they're all relatively simple, logical mitzvot, to not do them, it's really a war against God. God really takes it personal. Yeah, I gave you just a little bit, and you do against that, just a few things I gave you? So that's one end. The second thing about Noahides that we need to know, and they need to know themselves, is the Rambam says that not everybody that keeps these 7 Noahide laws is going to have a olam haba. Not all of them. Why? If you keep the 7 Noahide laws because God said it, then you are considered amongst the righteous amongst the nations. You're considered amongst the chazdei umot ha'olam. You're wise, you're righteous, you have olam haba, you're amazing. On the other hand, if you just keep those mitzvot because you're a nice guy, you don't steal because you're a millionaire already, you don't need to steal. You don't kill because it's not allowed, you're scared of being arrested. You don't worship an idol because, it's silly. And so on and so forth. You're just keeping it because it's logical. The Rambam says not only do they not get olam haba, but they're actually considered the tipshim amongst the nations, the fools amongst the nations. Why the fools? Because they're doing all the work without getting paid. You're already doing all the work. Why not at least get paid for it? The reward of olam haba, of eternity. So this is why some of the Rabbanim around the world are trying to get the non-Jews to do tshuva in their own way and get closer to Hashem and do what's right in the eyes of Hashem for Hashem, not because it's logical. But back to our issue of us being reminded that we're surrounded by the enemy in exile. Sometimes the enemy is within, and sometimes the enemy is around us. We're reminded by these murders. We're reminded by just all the difficulty that's around us. Even the sinners amongst our own people that wanted to celebrate this goal nefesh, this disgusting gay parade. They wanted to celebrate the gay parade in Chicago, and 3 of them went to Chicago to celebrate the gay parade, and they brought Israeli flags that had the rainbow on it, the gay rainbow on it, and they got thrown out because even the homosexuals don't want to accept Jews. This is just a reminder. We're not like you. We're not supposed to be like you. You're chosen, you're not. This is a reminder for those 3 people. You're not supposed to be like them. You're chosen. You're Hashem's princes. You're not supposed to be talking about your sexuality and your desires that you can't control and celebrate a war against God. You're not supposed to do that. And even they themselves are telling you you're not supposed to do that.